This is Off Track. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off Track with Hinch and Rossi on another Rare Tuesday episode where both are here. And as I say that, Alex is currently not actually here. He's coming. He'll be here in a second. He's tending to some householdly duties. But very excited to have a special guest on the show today. Mr. Lochie Hughes is joining us. Welcome to the show, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I heard that, James. I'm here.
I know I was saying that you're here. You just weren't there. You know what I mean? Anyway. Lochie, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. We have a lot of IndyCar fans that listen. We have a lot of fans that aren't necessarily racing fans, which is weird, that listen because we talk about travel and soup a lot. Yep. But for the fans, look, I think we can both agree Indy NXT doesn't get quite as much attention as it probably deserves, given the quality of racing and caliber of drivers. So for those that don't know Lochie Hughes, talk obviously not from around these parts, as we say in North America. So why don't you walk people through a little bit about your kind of racing journey, how you got into it, and ultimately what led you onto the road to Indy?
Yeah, so I have, kind of a interesting racing background, I guess. Don't come from a racing family or anything like that. So kind of fell into it somehow, just, driving rental cars as a kid on some holiday. So
it wasn't like no one in your family raced anything. It was literally just you were at the fair or whatever, jumped in a rental car and like, this is fun.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, probably, worst decision my parents ever made. After that, just hounded my parents to get in something, anything with four wheels. Started go-karting mainly in Australia and raced in Europe. Actually came over here to the States quite a bit as a kid as well. And then, made the step to cars in Australia.
What'd you start in?
I started in F4. Yeah, so I started in F4, had a scholarship from Motorsport Australia to start racing back home. So that kind of, kickstarted the car racing. Always wanted to go to Europe, was trying to, get the funds together. And then that little thing called COVID happened. So once that happened, that kind of, put an end to my racing for a bit. Didn't race for 2 years, had to get a job.
No way. I don't think I knew that part. So what job did you get? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually working for an old race team of mine, selling parts, packing boxes, was basically in their warehouse, shipping off, Vortex parts, all these, parts for go-kart racing, which, sucked. Probably, some of the worst years of my life in a way. But it was good because it kind of, gave me a better perspective of life. And, when I came over here, when we got the budget together to get over here, it was kind of like, every year was your last year. But it kind of, made everything a bit more important, because I'd seen the other side of life and I'd never want to go back to that. So, it's been a good journey over here, came over, did USF4 with Jay Howard. I actually raced for him in karting as a kid, so it's kind of, he was always trying to get me to come over here.
Okay.
Ended up getting the budget, winning the F4 championship. Then did the road to Indy, did USF 2000 and Pro 2000, won that championship. Then this year in Indy Lights or Indy NXT, sorry.
It's okay. We call it Indy Lights on this show. I said next off the top just to be politically correct, but I will now be referring to it as Indy Lights.
yes. It was a great year with Andretti. It was a big step up in terms of, the car, just a lot faster, a lot heavier, a lot, a bigger car. Now ready for 2026.
So walk us through, obviously coming to this side of the motorsport world in North America, was that a really big adjustment for you or more of an adjustment than you thought it would be when you first made that step? And like, how long did it take you to really feel like you found your feet and were comfortable, living in the States and being a part of that, open wheel racing network and the road to Indy that we so often talk about that seemed to have worked really well for you so far?
Yeah, I honestly felt really comfortable straight away. I think some of that was helped by the fact that, racing go-karts over here, the Florida Winter Tour and, the Super Nats in Vegas, doing all those races, in karting, I raced against, guys like, David Malukas, and a few of the, American guys. So it felt very, very easy adjusting over here in terms of that. Obviously, like the little stuff, like you watch American movies as a kid and shows and all that stuff. Yeah. So some of the stuff was a bit different than I saw on TV and stuff when it came to living here. But it felt very, very easy to adjust. It's just, it's very different. Like once you start living here, especially in the Midwest, I'm not used to snow. I'm not used to, some of the stuff that you guys get here. But I honestly, I love it here now. At first, just even stuff like American sports took a while to get into. Now, I'm rooting for the Colts every Sunday.
Yeah, right on, man. James is the same, and he was only 6 hours north. So
I learned that lesson too when you first moved here. Lochie, where in Australia are you from?
So Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise, actually.
Nice.
So
beauty.
I wish. Okay. I think we need to push hard and get IndyCar back there.
There's nobody in the paddock that would argue
James
that
might
point
come out of retirement if you make that happen.
I would absolutely come out of retirement just for that race.
Yeah.
So that actually, that's an interesting point then. So you obviously went to that race as a kid. You saw the Indy cars racing at Surfers. When COVID ended and, you said you did some karting in the States, but you did some karting in Europe. COVID ended, you got budget to go racing. You ended up back in the States. Why did you come US route rather than Europe? Was F1 ever that kind of the dream, or what kind of tipped you to come this way?
Yeah. I mean, I think as a young bloke, growing up, you always have, I think it's so hard not to look at Formula One, right? And that's kind of what everyone dreams of. But I always, watched IndyCar. I think some of that, stems from, having, the race in, essentially my backyard, and also having guys like Will Power, Ryan Briscoe over here. So, would hear a lot of stuff about IndyCar, and I would tune in whenever I could, and the races were always really exciting. So I always loved it, just a big fan of racing in general. But it's, Europe's just, I wanted to, but I think it was the road to Indy and the prize money that really, sealed the deal to coming here. Because I knew if I get the results, I could get here. So, I wouldn't be racing Indy NXT at the moment if it wasn't for the scholarship. So, no other, racing series and pathway in the world really offers that. So that was the most important decision.
Yeah, it's we hear that time and time again, about people, kids in Europe, right, trying to make that decision what they're going to do, and so many of them are drawn to it, just as you said, because there is not anything else like it in the world. Let's talk a little bit about your year in Indy Lights this year. First year, you finished third in the championship. You had a couple wins, I think. So, as a first year, that must have met and exceeded a lot of your expectations. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, kind of.
Such a driver.
Yeah. I mean, it was in the fight for a while there throughout the season, and the second half, I honestly thought we were a very good chance there. And the second half just kind of fell away a little bit. But, if I could take, top three going into the championship to begin with, I probably would have. But
I think you still should. Like it's not an easy championship. Like that's a very good result in the first year.
Yes. Yeah. And just like you look back at, some of the like Indy Lights the last few years, whether it was Linus, Raz, Louis, kind of everyone, it's kind of become a 2-year program. So, unless you come from Europe with, a lot more experience or something, but coming from, the road to Indy, that's kind of how it's been. So, a lot of positives to take from it. A lot of highs, couple lows, as the season goes. but no, learned a lot, and you know, can build into a big 2026 program.
You sort of alluded to it, I think, there a bit. You know, your teammate Dennis Hauger, also a rookie in Indy Lights, and it's, you know, obviously he went on to win the championship, but to say that he was coming in with the same level of experience as you would be, you know, doing you a huge disservice. So I think, you know, again, Alex and I will sit here and tell you objectively, zooming out from not the guy behind the wheel, incredibly impressive performance.
Yes.
But like, let's from the driver's seat. I mean, I think this is an interesting topic, right? I've had years, you know, in the junior categories and in the big series where I got absolutely waxed by my teammate. And I'm not saying that's what happened to you. I'm putting this on me. I got whacked a year where I had no wins. My teammate won 5 races in the championship. And it was one of the toughest, most frustrating years of my career, but it's also one where I learned an awful lot. And I wonder if you kind of feel the same way, that having, you know, a driver with Dennis's experience come in and instantly find that pace, but being able to learn off him. Do you kind of look back on 2025 now, and now that the emotion of the season is done, you kind of think, actually, okay, here's what I can learn. Here's what I can take away and make myself a better driver having had that experience?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, you know, when I look at the bigger picture, I think it was actually, you know, quite important having him as a teammate, because it's, you know, someone with a lot of experience that you can learn from. And, you know, when you go to IndyCar, you only really have one chance, you know, so you don't want to go, you know, with, you know, with not enough experience or something.
You don't want to be underprepared for it. Yeah.
Yes, you can be kicked out just as quickly as, you know, you had a chance to get there. So, no, looking back at the big picture, it was, you know, quite an important thing for me to be able to learn from him, and it's just going to help me for next year. I mean, it is tough when you know, on the other side of it, because it's like, you know, if it wasn't there, you know, maybe, you know, we would have, you know, won the thing. But you know, it's kind of like, I think, you know, like Alex, you basically went from F2 to IndyCar as well, apart from, you know, the few races in F1 in that season. So
no, I mean, that's you bring up a great point, and what James said, it's an unfair comparison. And I think it's okay for you to have that. Racing drivers are known, and I'm one of them. James is one of them. Tim would like to be one of them, but racing drivers are known for making excuses. This isn't one of those excuses. Like, I think it's very acceptable to be like, hey, I came from USF 2000, whatever the hell it's called now.
Pro 2000.
Year, won a couple races, whatever. I'm coming back next year. Obviously, you know, Andretti Global, knowing those people at that organization, they don't have patience for a lot of things. So the fact that you're coming back for year number 2, you were announced as the IndyCar reserve driver, and you were in an IndyCar as early as yesterday, I think, is a testament to what you've accomplished. So walk us through a little bit about kind of your IndyCar experience that you had. Did it meet expectations? Did it fall short in some way? And just overall, how was the day for you?
Yeah, I can tell you, I feel like I've been hit by a bus right now.
I was going to ask, how's the neck feeling today?
Yeah. The neck's quite sore. I don't know if you've ever seen that video of that guy going around the 2-seater F1 car, I think in Abu Dhabi, and his head's doing that. That's how I felt at the end of the day. But pretty like the brakes were the biggest mind blowing thing I found. It was, you know, unbelievable how quickly those things stopped. Never driven with carbon brakes before. So, you know, that was definitely, you know, an eye opener, but the top speed didn't feel too crazy compared to the next car. I think some of that's due to
there's a reason for that.
I think I think the windscreen kind of made it feel a bit weird, because your helmet wasn't trying to rip off the whole time. But just the weight of the thing is just kind of just not quite as enjoyable, just trying to get it to, you know, change direction and turn. that was a bit different. Yeah, it didn't quite feel, as lively as the next car, like you can kind of hang that thing out a bit more, and it's just like more comfortable, sliding around and stuff. This didn't really want to do that so much. So, yeah, it was definitely, different to drive, but it was, so cool. It was just, driving Indy cars, just insane. The first step for me was just not to stall it coming out the pits. And I didn't stall it all day. So I was pretty happy with that. But yeah.
It breaks my heart, man, hearing you describe the car like that. It really does, because young drivers coming up from next
should used to be so cool.
You should not have that. You should say everything about it was 10% better, 20 times better than I thought it was going to be. This thing is awesome. And it's just, and it used to feel like that, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. And it sucks. And it sucked. I thought I was just old and jaded because I'd been through it all. And having you say that first time in the car, it really breaks my heart for you, man. But, the good news is there's a new car coming in 2028, and you will most definitely, Alex, I'm pinning my hopes to the fact that this thing will be lighter and more nimble and faster and cooler. Don't ruin this for me yet.
No. I think for sure a new car will be lighter, faster, and more nimble. I just don't believe 2028. But
God.
I think
no.
I saw something today that said when the current car debuted, the iPhone 4 was new.
Yeah, I started racing the year this car.
Yeah, Lochie was probably out, like 8.
Yeah,
this car has been racing as long as Lochie has. Oh no, that is not a good stat.
Which is it's crazy, but like that's why I didn't quite have like the steering wheel in the kind of position I needed and I was used to. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, there I was holding on for dear life.
Well, here's something that will make you feel better. Indy GP is low key one of the more physical tracks that's on the counter. Like, it doesn't get credit. Everyone focuses on Barber and Ohio, but Indy GP is pretty hard. So it doesn't get much worse than that for you. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. Walk us through a little bit. We don't have much time left, but Will Power has said some great things about you, obviously, both being from Australia and now in a way kind of pseudo teammates, right? Both being under the Andretti banner. Have you had a chance to talk to him? Has he what's the things that he's telling you? What's the advice he's giving you? And he's obviously one of the best out there, and that's a good guy to have in your corner.
Yeah, for sure. No, he actually called me this morning. I didn't really get to chat to him long because he was on the way to the airport. I think he's racing here this weekend, actually. Will's been amazing to have in my corner, just someone, for advice and who's been there and done it the hard way, been through all the same feelings, I've been through. So to have him, is great. And just, having someone who understands, just Australian culture and everything, the little stuff like that, it's been great and can introduce me to people and, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be great, especially next year, to be under the same roof, to be able to, throw the headset on and be able to listen to how he talks to his engineer, have a look at, some of how he drives a race car, so it's all stuff that's just going to help, my development and progression for the future.
So is that kind of part of the program, being on the Andretti Lights team, is you get to, be part of as many of the sessions as you can outside of your duties, stand on the stand during the races and kind of really start to absorb what it's like being, in the main show?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I came to some of the races that I wasn't racing at this year, like Long Beach and Toronto. I came and just wanted to, be there and see it all and learn a bit more. And next year is going to give me, an even closer insight to all that kind of stuff. So, no, I'm excited now that I've driven the car as well. I have, I understand what it's like to be in one of those things. So, it's going to be cool. And, a lot to learn for the future.
Very cool, buddy. Very cool. Well, look, again, incredible season in Indy NXT/Lights for your rookie campaign. Back with Andretti for 26. Reserve driver on the IndyCar program. He's been on the IndyCar now on track. Really looking forward to seeing what you can do next year, man. I think it's going to be a really exciting year for you, and it's going to be fun to watch. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, and everybody keep your eye on Lochie Hughes in 26.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.